Welcome back to Life on Cars, 7th of August 2024. It's been 2 months now since I bought the Rolls-Royce. That's come around fast, hasn't it? And I haven't touched the car now for about 3 weeks. I've got back from my holidays a couple of days ago from Canada. And I'm itching to get back on the Rolls-Royce. So come on, let's have a look in the garage. See what we're going to do today. The Rolls-Royce is currently sharing the garage with my lovely cat, my Jaguar XK. Yeah, it's been nearly 3 weeks now since I've done anything on these cars. I've had a nice break. So look how it drops down after when it's been stood for a while. I've learnt now that that's quite normal on these. Basically the fluid from the hydraulic rams on the back suspension works its way back to the reservoir over time. So yeah, that's pretty normal. But what isn't normal is the way that the car's riding at the moment. So yeah, before I went away on my holidays, I had a little sneaky drive down the road in the Rolls because there's a couple of speed bumps, and I'd been doing a bit of research, and one of the ways that you can tell that the rear spheres need changing on one of these Rolls Royces is when the suspension is really hard at the back. And I only need to go over the first speed bump down the road, and the diagnosis was done. There's basically no give whatsoever in the back suspension, which means that it does need rear spheres. So I'm going to start that job in this video and hopefully finish it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get into the top of the rams where the spheres are, and you do that by getting into the boot and taking a load of trims out. So that's the first job. Let's go. So yeah, a couple of months of ownership so far on the lovely Rolls. But yeah, I mean, as I've been working through the project, there's a lot of little jobs to do as well. I still haven't fixed the locking mechanism on the boot. I can see what's wrong. There's a piece that's fallen off. I've got it in my toolbox. Yeah, so that's the piece that's come off the back of the lock mechanism in the boot. And it was just floating around on the back of the barrel, so I need to figure out how to put that. I did have a little look, but it's going to be quite complicated and fiddly to get in there. So I can open and close the boot at the moment, and that's good enough for now, and then we'll tackle that a bit later on. And then if you've been watching the series, there's other things like central locking problems and things like that. The other thing is this mirror is loose, so I need to investigate that. I've got a feeling I'm probably going to have to take the door panel off to figure out what's going on with that. It just looks like it's come apart inside here. It looks like it can be repaired, but it's looking like I'm going to have to take the door panel off. So yeah, there's little things like that, but I want to try and do the big jobs first that are stopping this car being a rolling project, to get it MOT'd, as we call it here in the UK, to get it through the test. Obviously the suspension has to work properly and the car has to be roadworthy. So yeah, we just got to keep going and see where we go. But I'm loving this project, absolutely loving it. Yeah, those suspension spheres are up behind here. I can actually see one through there. So I need to take this wooden panel off, I think. There's a couple of screws. can this be removed out of the way or not? I need that as well. Apparently these are really hard to get hold of at the moment with the correct adapter for filling up the suspension. I think that's an original bottle that was supplied by Rolls-Royce. It's amazing how Rolls-Royce made all this. This is all plywood. This back panel here, and it's been leather trimmed. And then these pieces of wood as well, look. It looks like I can leave this board just folded down here, but I do need to take these side panels out because they kind of overlap these boards here, because I want these out of the way. You can just see the sphere in there, look. And then the same on the other side, it's in there. So I think I need to move this out of the way. The battery isolator, take this board out of the way, and then see what the access is like. So yeah, the side panels, I think these trims, because I don't want to drip any fluid on anything. But yeah, it's all old school wood and cardboard and screws. So we'll see how we get on taking these side trims out. I think they're just on screws. So did you watch the episode on the Porsche when I was on my holidays in Canada? If not, give that a watch after you finish watching this, because that was it was really interesting. The Porsche 911 that Andrew owned in Canada that we went and had a look at. So yeah, give that a watch. Right, let's get these trims out. There we are. Well, that was easy to take off, wasn't it? Alright, I got the side trims off. Just wanted to show you this, quite interesting. There's a wooden, that's like a fence panel, just going randomly down there, screwed in. And these are the battery cables, and you can get to your back lights. There's a fuse box here, look. This fuse is in. And there's a couple of relays up here, some wires for something. There's some sort of module there, and then on the other side is another piece of wood, the aerial, and an ECU. I'm guessing, looking at the size of that could be, it's a Bosch. Is that the engine ECM? Could be. Not sure, if I'm being honest. But it's a computer. That's the emergency release for the boot, which I've just disconnected. Aerial lead. And let's get a torch and have a look down these pockets. Well, it's really solid down there, look. No signs of any rot. You can see the drain tube there for the aerial. Normally these, I've seen online, some of these can fill up with water down there, but mine's dry and there doesn't seem to be any rot down there, which is excellent news. Let's have a look at the other side. Yeah, absolutely solid, isn't it? Some sort of wax protectant down there, isn't there? Yeah, that's good news. Anyway, less sniffing around. Let's crack on and get this wooden panel out of the way. Looks like there's a couple of screws. Look, one there and one there. And then I reckon this panel should come out. Now, there's another couple as well at the bottom there. There's one there and one there, look. So can we get to them with this board in the way? Do you know, I am tempted to move all this out of the way, you know, but it means undoing all these bolts. What are we thinking? I don't like taking things off I don't have to. I'm going to get a small screwdriver, a stubby screwdriver, and see if I can get to these screws. You know, the weather was beautiful in Vancouver. And we've come back here and it's a little bit, what, 2 or 3 degrees, 4 degrees cooler, but it's not been too bad, the weather in the northeast of England, so let's hope it carries on so I can do a bit more work on this car. Alright, those have come out, so looks like this board should just come out now. Well, a bit more access. These are going to be fiddly, aren't they? There's a bloody pipe in the way. What on earth were Rolls-Royce thinking? I wonder if there's any movement on that if I cut that tie strap. I wonder if this pipe will swing out the way, but I doubt it because it'll be screwed in, won't it? At the back there. Let's have a look and see if we can put a bit of light on the subject. Yeah, that pipe's not going to be going anywhere because it's sorry if you can hear that background noise. I've got one of the neighbours getting an extension built. Hopefully there's enough room for that to screw out because there isn't a lot of clearance between the sphere and the bulkhead, but I'm guessing there must be. Yes, they're going to be fun. This side, I am going to have to do a bit more work because I'm going to have to get that isolator switch out of the way. The other thing, these carpets are glued, so when I start to remove the spheres, I'm going to cover these over just in case anything spills out. Don't want any LHM fluid getting on these carpets. You little bugger. Just drew blood. Caught my arm on one of them tie straps. Really sharp. So I've just turned them back over there so don't do that again. Bloody hell. Blood, sweat and tears. Right, now that that isolator switch is out of the way, I'm just going to unbolt this bracket off the back so it's out of the way. Right, I reckon this is about the best access that we're going to get now to these spheres. So although this pipe's in the way, hopefully we can manoeuvre tools in here to loosen these spheres off. But before we do that, we've got to depressurise the system. So yeah, just first stage to depressurise is to pop the ignition on, watch for the brake pressure warning lights. I'm not expecting much pressure because it's been stood for 3 weeks, but we'll do the brake pumping just to make sure there's no pressure, and then we need to open the valve underneath the car to drain the rear rams. Alright, things are getting serious now, so I've put my dad's old jumper on, and so now that we've depressurised the system, what we need to do now is we need to get the car jacked up at the back, just so the wheels are like, the tyres are just kissing the ground. And then what we need to do is to open the bleed or the drain valve for the rear suspension and drain out the fluid. So let's do that. Alright, so I've jacked the car up and put a couple of axle stands underneath the subframe, so the wheels are just kissing the ground. Right, we need to find that little drain point now. So just forward of the offside rear wheel there, you can see the little block, and I've slackened the nipple off 11mm if you're interested, and it's starting to drip, so we'll get that slackened off a bit more and let it drain into a tub. There we are, we're draining the fluid from the drain point for the suspension. So we'll let that drain out and see where we go. Alright, I think it's nearly finished draining there, so it's a fair bit of fluid come out. Alright, that's stopped draining now, so let's get the sphere unscrewed. Wish me luck. Well guys, you're not going to believe this, I've been able to work my magic. Get in with the big grip, and look, it's slackening off. Look at that, it's moving. Excellent. I've put some old towel underneath the sphere just to catch any drips, and hopefully it won't run down onto the carpet. Well, it's unscrewing. Hopefully there'll be enough room for it to come out past that pipe. No signs of any fluid yet. bit off. Will it come out of here? Oh, careful, don't trip anything on the carpet. Yes, it's out. Okay. Alright, we did get a bit of fluid come out, as you can see. So I'm just wiping that from the top of the strut, or the gas ram, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to get a mirror because I just want to check there's nothing in the orifice, and then we'll get the new one and screw that in. Well, there's the old one, and the seal is off on the old one as well, so time to get a new one installed. Just using the mirror to make sure that I'm happy that the recess for the seal is nice and clean. I've just given that a wipe. I think we're good to go now. We'll get a new one in. So if you remember, we got a set of these from IntroCar, and we got them with the front accumulator spheres at the same time. So these are the rear gas spheres for the rear suspension. If you're interested, GMF1106-X. So let's get the first one installed. Remember, what we need to do is we do need to put the new rubber O-ring into the valve body first. So I'm going to put a little bit of fresh LHM fluid on there, locate that into the valve body, and then screw the sphere in afterwards. Right, we've got the seal in. Let's see if we can manoeuvre this. It's quite awkward this side, working around the pipes. That's going in now. Yep. Just keep an eye on your seal, make sure it doesn't come out as you're screwing in. Right, it's bottoming out now. Let's get it nipped up. The only way to really tighten these up is to climb in the boot, because the boot's that big to reach them. Alright, one down, one to go. Happy with that one. Let's get the other side done. Right, they're in. So the left one's in, the right one's in. I've just refitted the battery isolator switch. I'm leaving all the trims off so I can see if there's any leaks when we run the engine. But yeah, I've probably been lucky maybe. You know, they both unscrewed fairly easily using these big water pump pliers. Top tip, make sure you got plenty of rags and disposable gloves, because even though there was only a little bit of fluid came out of the spheres, it can quite easily go a long way. And these carpets are glued down over the wheel arches, so you've got to cover those up basically, otherwise if you drop anything on these it will stain. So yeah, that was quite tricky. I didn't need, if you look there, there's a tie strap holding that connector block on there. I didn't need to take that off on this side, but there seemed to be less room on this side, so I ended up cutting the tie strap for that. So once I'm happy with it all, I'll just tie strap that back. But by cutting that tie strap, it just allowed me to, it allowed a little bit of movement on that pipe to give me a bit more access to get in there. So what we need to do now is get the car back on the ground, and it's self-bleeding, so it'll be a case of starting it up, and hopefully the suspension will rise up and we won't have any leaks. We'll have to keep an eye on the level in the reservoir. In fact, it'll probably need a bit in, because we've probably lost around about half a litre, I would say, maybe a little bit less. So yeah, it's going to need some fluid in, I think. Alright, here we go. First start up for 3 weeks. Let's hope something happens at the back and the suspension rises. Let's go and check for leaks. Can't see any leaks. Okay, let's get some revs on and get some I think we're coming up already. If I bounce on the car, I can get it to... we've got suspension movement now. It was rock solid before, didn't have any movement. That's great. Just shut it off because I've noticed the reservoir's gone down a little bit. So we need to put a bit of fluid in. I've just gone to take the lid off this because I was going to tip out what was in it, thinking it's old. Because I'm presuming it has a use by, and I want to use the container with the adapter so I can put some oil in the reservoir. But look, it's still sealed. I don't really want to pierce that. That's quite clever, look, it basically goes in there and then it presses down. Hear that? It presses like a plunger down, and then you turn it and it locks down. So I'm not going to pierce that original container because it'll be nice to keep that for an unused container. So I'm just going to carefully tip into this nozzle. It should work. He says, Let's just put a bit of rag around there in case things go terribly wrong. Float hasn't moved yet. I think it needs to come up to the black line. Ah, yeah, it's coming up now. It's coming up. Okay, I'm going to run the engine now. And again, keep an eye on that. I'll leave that in, I think. And then we'll see if it goes down a bit more. Bounce on the back of the car, I think, as well. Put a bit of weight on the back of the car. I'm going to sit on the boot, in the boot, and just put a bit of pressure on those back spheres. Let's have a look at that level. It's gone down a smidgen, so I'm going to put a bit more in. Yeah, it's gone down to the bottom of the reservoir again, so I'm going to put some more in. See the float coming up now. Right, we're back up again, but I think I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to bounce on the back of the car and repeat. And I think it's self-bleeding now as the engine's running. And if I put a bit of load on the back of the car, I might need to do it 2 or 3 times and then it should settle, I would imagine. But super successful so far, really, really happy. I've got my rear suspension back. Happy days. These old suspension spheres have got the Citroen logo on. I wonder if they're the originals that were fitted in the factory. You never know. Somebody might know the answer to that, but my guess is because they've got the Citroen logo on, they might be the original supplied parts fitted in the factory. There we are, all back together. Oh, sorry, were you waiting for me? I do apologise. Well, there we are, another one cracked off on the Rolls-Royce. and I'm super proud that I've been able to get those spheres done. Weirdly, I actually started to enjoy doing it once I actually managed to get the spheres loose. I knew everything was going to go to plan after that. So yeah, we've got working suspension again on the back of the Rolls-Royce. That's fantastic, isn't it? Another step closer. And yeah, you know, this Rolls-Royce, it's thrown me a few curveballs, but things seem to be going to plan so far. So we'll keep fingers crossed for the next job, which is to get in and look at the rear brakes. On the last MOT that it had, there was mention that the handbrake performance wasn't good enough, so I need to have a look at that and see what's going on. But yeah, so far, good old girl, everything seems to be going to plan. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. And have a look around the playlist. There might be an episode that you've missed, or there might be something else on Life on Cars that you find interesting. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you all again next time with something else on Life on Cars. Bye bye now. Bye bye.